Hello everybody. Okay, so in this video, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how I put $70,000 on the line just to learn how to do this real estate investment stuff. I basically said, you know what, I'm gonna buy the next house I see. It happened to be a good deal. I'm gonna ink the deal. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it. I had the money. I didn't really know how the process worked. I didn't really know how contractors worked. I didn't even know if I was supposed to buy it in my name or some LLC or something. So in this video, I want to walk you through the process and my train of thought from where I started and where I'm at now on contractors and realtors and money and everything kind of in between. I'm going to download my mind right here for you guys. I hope this helps you guys. I wasn't able to get everything off YouTube and on the internet. The missing pieces just weren't there. So I'm going to try to line that up in this video. So here we go, guys. Roll the intro. So I had been reading books for like months, right? I had read books. I had joined the local PIG group. This is the Professional Investors Guild, where there's other guys there, older investors, younger investors, and they kind of mentor you. I'd found me some good mentors, which I highly advise, where I could ask some questions. And I'd asked all the questions. I knew the answers. I was just afraid to pull the trigger. So I was sitting in the office and I said, you know what? I got to get into this investment stuff, whether it kills me or not. I'm going to take the money. I was like, a normal college degree costs, what, $30,000? I was like, okay, I'm going to take 70. And if I get a haircut of $20,000, I learned what a college degree would probably get me. And I said, I don't think I'm going to lose that much money. I'm going to go ahead and buy this next house. And got a call on a Saturday from my realtor. I'd partnered with a good realtor. He was a guy that was smart in the real estate world. He threw me a good deal. I'd put the feelers out for a while. He calls me up on a rainy Saturday and he says, hey, I got a deal for you. Got an old house. It's got good bones. It's ugly, but it's got good bones, and I think it might be good for you. I rolled over there. I hand shook the deal for $67,000, okay? I said, I think this is a good deal. I got the homeowner inspector out there. I highly recommend anybody doing a home inspection on it, because you know what? This was my first rodeo. I didn't really know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was talking about. I went ahead, made the offer. Homeowner inspector said, you know, it's a good house. It's got some old things that are wrong with it, but the bones are there. And I was really grateful of that. I always knew that I wanted to get in real estate. I always knew that there was just something there for me, and I figured you could make money in it. I had money on the side that was ready to go for this real estate, and I just made the move. I was going to make a move even if it was wrong. So you could say I knew just enough to be dangerous. I knew enough to sign on the dotted line and make a mistake. So once I got my head out of the books and I actually stepped into the arena, I knew that I had no idea what a closing was. Even when I had read it in books, it says at closing you're going to do these documents. Well, I was like, well, what does that mean? I didn't realize it was like 3 stacks of paperwork, you know, like it was like you're gonna sign papers until your hands are blue, okay? Like 5 pens worth. It was like a very interesting experience. So I finally I basically put all the chips on the table, and I had an old military commander back in the day says, if you want to be a commander of anything, in this circumstance, it would be a real estate investor, because you control your money and investment. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to get down there and you got to learn how to paint. Got to learn how to fix a floor. All right, guys, so I'm about to do some heavy floor sanding here. They don't look too bad, but they're going to look even better here in a little bit. Got to do that room and then 2 bedrooms. So actually 3 bedrooms. So here we go. Going to Home Depot. You can get them for 54 bucks. Do it yourself and see how long it takes. Wish me luck, everybody. I'm trying it out. Hopefully I don't destroy anything. You can see, but there's a water spot right here I got to really try to get down on. So see how that goes. Got to learn how to lay laminate flooring and what a roof is and how much a roof costs to get changed. I need to know these things so some contractor wouldn't take me for a loop. So in this house, I was prepared to do all the work. So I spent all summer, that's why I didn't make any cool kayak fishing videos this year. I spent all summer learning how to work on a house. I YouTubed how to change an electrical box. I YouTubed how to paint and how to lay laminate flooring. I learned how to lay tile and grout, and I learned how to paint concrete and how to plumb a sink. Because you know what? I knew I needed to know these things. So the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is should you use a realtor? In the beginning, I would say definitely use a realtor because they're going to basically take your hand and walk you through the entire set of events. In the beginning, you should definitely use one because these guys have been there, they've been in the fire before, and they're going to lead you in the right direction. And most of the time, they're paid by the seller anyways. So you might as well use a realtor if it's going to be paid for by the seller. Some sellers, if they're selling it basically on their own and they don't want to pay for a realtor, then you might be up the creek and you might say, you know what, I'm going to go forward without it. But I highly say pay attention during the closing process with what your realtor is doing, because in the future you want to be able to do what the realtor is doing. You want to know the contracts, what goes on them, what needs to not go on them. You need to start finding your own contracts. They're all over the internet for buying houses. Go ahead, download those, get very comfortable with those. I would also get you some wholesale assignee contracts to where you can, wholesale contracts, learn how to wholesale contracts, just something for your kit bag. And also, while you're networking with him, find out who he works for and who his peer of realtors are and start talking to those and build out your real estate network. Because this first deal is your trial run, your trial by fire to learn how to do this in the future. So in the contracts portion, guys, just make sure you become very familiar with them. Get you some copies of them, put them in your bag, because you never know when you might run up on another deal and you got to use your own contracts. So get familiar with those to where you can just send one over to a realtor, be able to talk the lingo because you've been through this, and you don't have to pay for a realtor in the future. You need to be able to be a lone wolf. All right, so the next thing they haven't taught you about here on YouTube, and I had to learn this hard way, and maybe I just missed that video, was that contractors can be a super thorn in your side, right? I hired and fired quite a few of them on this last project, and it was mind-boggling, how much they charged and how hard the job actually was. So think about it. If you buy it in your name, in most areas, like here in Florida, I'm going to speak mostly from Florida. If you buy it in your name and you plan to live in it for a year or so, you can usually pull your own permits, and that'll allow you to fix things at a cheaper rate. You go down to the permitting office, you pay your $200 or your $50 or your $100, you pull your permits and you get to work. Because things like changing a hot water heater, super easy, but a plumber wants an arm and a leg. Things about like changing a door on the outside, like an outside door needs a permit. And if you buy it in an LLC, you can't pull your own permits. So think about that, whether it's in the LLC's name, an entity you formed, or if you buy it in your name. Some people say, I'll just buy it in my own name and I'll just pull the permits. Well, in most of those places, if you're planning to sell that bad boy in most of those places, you got to sign an affidavit saying that you ain't going to do that. And they'll get you. Trust me, they'll get you, especially in some of these bigger cities. Now, if you say you're going to live in it and you're going to try to sneak a 1031 exchange on it, they're going to get you again. IRS is going to get his. They're either going to get it from the permitting office or you're going to get it from the doggone IRS. So guys, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to tell you my opinion. And in my opinion, what I would do, a disclaimer will be like right here because people go crazy on these things. And that's another thing that bothers me is there's always this stigma as you can't give any advice. So nobody gives any good advice. And all the attorneys don't give any advice because they want you to pay them. And it's like they're hiding behind this moat of you can't say anything. Well, I'm going to say, disclaimer right here and in the description below, that if you buy it in an LLC, you're getting the protection of, if you're going to rent it, of being sued. And then you're getting, you're going to be able to 1031 exchange a lot easier. It is mind-boggling how many attorneys out there and how many like real estate dudes did not understand the 1031 exchange process and exactly how you go about a 1031 exchange. That junk's got to be in the contract pretty much when you go to close, that you're 1031 exchanging it. and make sure that it is specified right. So when you go to talk to the IRS, that you know exactly the process. Spend time and money getting your 1031 exchange set up properly. I just want to say that. And if you're operating out of an LLC, you can tax deduct things. I'm not a CPA, I'm just giving you my opinion. This is what I would do. LLC, you can tax deduct a lot of the things from your rental properties and a lot of things from your property, right? You can expense down, and then your profit is what's left. If you're operating over here under your own name, it's a lot harder to do that. Can you do it? Yeah, you can, but it's easier to be in an entity where you got asset protection and you can tax deduct things. So I rambled about that, but I feel like that has not been covered properly in a lot of these real estate videos. So I went and started me an LLC. I put the house in it, and just be aware that if you are going to do a 1031 exchange, that you need to show some passive income from it. You either own it for a year or passive income. On the internet, it's going to say, all your internet lawyers and most of your lawyers in general will not give you a straightforward answer on that. They're going to say, well, the courts have said, or in practice, this is the way we normally do it. But if you need to show some passive income, or you need to hold it for a year, you can go out and rent it for a month or two or whatever, show some passive income, then you can get your 1031 exchange. That's what I found out, and it cost me money to figure it out, okay? In the state of Florida, and I'm in the state of Florida, and I paid Florida attorneys to find that out. Now, I don't know if it's going to be different wherever you're at, whatever state you're in, if there's state tax or whatever. I'm just saying from what I learned. So I forgot to add on the contractors portion that be very careful. Never pay a contractor before the job is done. Don't do it. You can give him half, quarter up front, but do not pay them everything until the job is done. You will never see that guy again, even if they're legitimate, because they're off to the next one. Let me tell you, they are off to the next deal, especially roofers. They're in, they're out, they're gone. Now, with electricians, I did not know this one. With electricians, if you let him pull the permit, cut the power, and you think that all those other code violations aren't going to have to be fixed by him before the inspector comes to turn it back on, you are mistaken, brother. Okay, let me tell you, I hired this electrician. He basically went out, he cut the power. They were going to change out an electrical box, and this was an old house, and after the power's cut off, he calls me and he goes, hey, he's not going to turn the power back on until you fix these other problems. And I knew I had couple $1,000s extra of problems on the house, and I knew I could fix them, but you know, he was the contractor on site, and he had the permit, and he had me over a box. He basically said, you're either going to pay me to fix these things, or I'm going to walk off and the power is going to be cut. It's not even on the house anymore. Gulf Power had come and cut the whole entire thing. And he had me over a barrel. So keep in mind, if you think you're going to be cheap and just skip all these little electrical infractions, that the inspector, when he comes to turn the power back on, it's not happening. You are just going to be out of luck. Just keep that in mind. All right, guys, so one of the last things I want to talk about is the money for the deal. Basically, I went ahead and signed the contract. I said I was going to pay him $67,000 for this house. It's $3,000 with closing, so it's $70,000. And I said, well, you know, it's time to go get the money. I had the cash to pay for the house, but I didn't want to use my cash. So I went down to the local mortgage company and took out $50-something thousand for the rest of the house. Basically like getting a big car note. So $70,000 price range is pretty much easy. Anybody can get that loan, especially for an investment property. It's going to be a rental. Had no problem getting the loan, and it worked out pretty well. But I highly suggest using a bank for your first deal. Why? You might say, why? I got to pay all these closing costs. Well, they're going to hold your hand through the process. They're going to make sure you get your survey, your WDO, your homeowner inspection. They're going to make sure the appraisal's right, which the appraisal, I was shocked when I saw that thing. The appraisals, basically, they just sit at their computer and they see what a couple houses went for around town, don't even look in the inside of the house, and they say, all right, It's worth $67,000. I paid you $600 to pay me to say it was worth what I paid for it. Come on. I mean, like, I was shocked, but that's basically what it is. 600 bones for them to tell you is worth exactly what you're going to pay for it. Maybe $1 more. But they're going to walk you through, and they're going to make sure the process is going straight and you're not getting a bad deal. You're going to pay some costs. You're going to pay some underwriting fees. It's just part of the game, and you're going to have to pay interest on it. Now, you can pay the property off. I mean, you can, whatever. That's up to you after you sign the documents. But I was glad that I used the bank the first time. I learned the process. I learned the contracts. I had somebody watch over my shoulder. My realtor was great. So they also helped me find an insurance company that worked out good. It was basically bing, bang, boom, done, signed, closed. The house was in my name, and then I got to work. So when we're talking about LLCs versus buying things in your personal name, things you got to think about are the permitting process, the 1031 exchange process, your expenses, liabilities, and whether you're going to rent it or not. That falls underneath the liability. Those are just the things that you need to kind of toss over in your head. That LLCs will do one thing for you, and owning your personal name will do another thing for you. I'm very risk averse. I don't want the risk of my personal money on a rental property where you can get a slip and fall claim. Like, you might want to have an attorney set you up one, walk you through the process on the difference, and you can expense out of an LLC. Those are the big things that really was very vague when I was starting this whole process. I went and found contractors, basically used everything. My realtor already had a list of these guys. So I said, who do you recommend? Who do you recommend? Who do you recommend? And I found out who was good and who was bad. That's basically the things you're learning the first few times through the process. And this $70,000 process was networking, who I needed to use, and who I didn't need to use. So once you feel comfortable with the bank, a few things open up for you. Like, if I was going to buy that house again, I would have bought it. I would have fixed it up with my contractors. I would have had it reappraised from 67. I relisted the house for 135, but I would have had it reappraised for about 120 something. I would have taken that money back out. I would have probably put $10,000 in my pocket, pulled the money out for all the actual repairs I had done on the house, and I would have had that money ready to go and invest in another piece of property. I would have had a renter in it, and I would have moved to the next one. But hindsight's 20/20 on that, and I would have totally bought it with an entity first. I would have had my LLC set up. I would have bought it with the LLC. And I would have used contractors from the beginning to the end, and I would have made a lot less spread on it, and I would have been done in half the amount of time. Probably took me about 3 months to get the house fixed up. I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I did it that way, because that way I know what contractors have to do. I know how long it takes them. I know how much it actually costs. So when they're telling me too much, I know, hey bro, that's too much. That's not the route I want to go. And then I can find a contractor that actually will do the work at a legitimate cost. But yeah, guys, I guess that's the end of this video. I just want to tell you I did this, and basically my thoughts on it, that you can do it too. It really wasn't that hard. You can find the money. If you can't get the money from the bank, there's hard money lenders. There's you can joint venture with somebody. Somebody's always willing to get a good investment because they're getting like 2% at the bank, not even that. So you can always find money for deals, and that it's a good place to start, to find a mentor at one of the local real estate networking events. Say, hey sir, I really want to be in real estate. I see you're very good at it. Could you please help me? And I guarantee he'll sit down with you at lunch. He'll tell you whatever he needs to know. I'd buy the best real estate investment books I could find. Go spend $200 or $300 on some good books like Guy Kawasaki's, anything Guy Kawasaki, anything Grant Cardone, anything that is well reviewed and good in the real estate space, like Guy Kawasaki's ABC's Real Estate Investing, and some of the other more profound books. Just make you a reading list. I'm going to scroll my reading list at the end of this video over here somewhere so you can just pick out the books that I read. And just get weird with it, guys. Don't be afraid to jump in. Even if you lose some money, that's part of it. Say, I'm here for the long haul and I'm gonna make it back. I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.